Information is starting to leak out in the cracks of this Sonya Massey story. Huh? Information is starting to leak out in the cracks of this Sonya Massey story.
It was an incident that happened earlier that day, and I talked to 2 officers or whatever, and I believe that it's the same officer that shot my mother.
Now, Brenda Butterfield is the grandmother-in-law to this piece of shit that Sonya Massey, Sean Grayson, and she wrote this editorial.
So things just got a lot more complicated with the Sonya Massey case. Her mother revealed that the police knew about Sonya's mental health issues, but still chose to use aggressive force. And it gets even more shocking. Her son claims the officer who unalived Sonya actually knew her. This fact changes everything and suggests it might have been a setup. There might be some truth to this because Sonya and Sean's girlfriend apparently knew each other. Plus, Sean only had his job because his girlfriend's dad put in a good word for him. It's clear Isabelle holds the power in their relationship, and if Sonya upset her, Sean might have taken matters into his own hands. So, are people onto something here? Did Sean really enter that home with a sinister plan? Did the police set Sonya up? Let's find out.
So we gonna stay abreast of this, but this is just a theory. This is just a theory. We gonna update y'all as it go. But it seemed fishy to me that she didn't have clothes on and something was going on outside her house.
The cops knew everything. You see, the day Sonya called 911 about an intruder wasn't the first time she had contacted the authorities. In the days before the incident, there were several emergency calls from Sonya's house. In one of those calls, Sonya's mother, Donna Massey, informed the authorities that her daughter was having a mental breakdown and pleaded, "I don't want you guys to hurt her." It was around 9 a.m., and Sonya was out on the streets yelling. According to Donna, when Sonya gets upset, she thinks everyone is after her, similar to paranoid schizophrenia. Donna was well aware of the potential dangers and was worried for her daughter's safety. That's why she specifically asked the authorities not to send a prejudiced officer. In another call, a woman who didn't identify herself said people wanted to hurt her. Then, a day later, Sonya called again, reporting that a neighbor had hit her with a brick. However, a sheriff's deputy met Sonya at the hospital, where she had gone for medical treatment after the call. She told the officer the same story about the neighbor and mentioned that she had broken a window trying to get into a car to escape. Sonya also informed the officer that she had recently been released from a mental health facility and that a police officer had tried to run her off the road earlier that day. What exactly was going on here? This is where Sonya's son comes in. Her family has been determined to uncover the truth, holding numerous press conferences for Sonya. During a recent press conference, her son, Malachi Hill Massey, shared some intriguing details. According to him, on the day of the incident, there had been another 911 call and 2 officers showed up at their home because of an incident. He believes that Sean was there as well.
Only other thing, Malachi, you may want to tell them is you think law enforcement came there earlier that day.
Okay, it was an incident that happened earlier that day, and I talked to 2 officers or whatever, and I believe that it's the same officer that shot my mother. I talked to his partner first. Then the second officer, that's the one that, I think, the one that did that. I talked to them, and they told me that, because she was driving herself to the hospital or something. She wasn't even at the house when this was going on, but she was driving herself to the hospital. They told me that they were going to go there to help her, and then this happens.
This revelation has the internet buzzing. If Sean had been to the house before, it means he was aware of Sonya's mental health issues, but still chose to act aggressively. So, was Sonya set up? Let's clear something up. This idea isn't new. In an interview with CBS Mornings, Sonya's dad, James Wilburn, revealed he didn't even know his daughter had been killed by a police officer. The authorities initially told him an intruder was responsible for the attack.
You know, I'm hearing that you were told conflicting stories. What were you told, the circumstances of this?
Well, I was never told that it was a deputy-involved shooting. We were under the impression that she was killed by the intruder or some other person from the street or something, and they just went in there and found her dead body. I did not find out that the deputies killed her until my brother asked for Sonya's address, and I gave it to him. And he said, "Brother, this says deputies involved." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
There was even a story claiming Sonya did this to herself. In the end, it was the body cam footage that revealed the truth.
Wrenching thing that we've ever seen in our lives, but if it were not for the body cam footage, we would not have known that this occurred.
Sonya's dad also mentioned that she had some sense of what was going to happen.
She had said to the officer, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," which seemed to set him off. What do you think she meant? What does that mean? What was going on that you think that she would say those words to him?
I think that she feared for her life. There was some premonition that she had. And it seems like he was just an emissary of Satan.
Speaking of the body cam footage, Sean had turned off his during the interaction. It was his partner's body cam footage that revealed the truth. So did Sean turn it off because he had planned everything out? Was he trying to cover his tracks? Was it not the random, senseless act of violence we've been led to believe? Based on the information that has come to light, it certainly seems that way. One person commented, "That's why he called her a crazy B word. He already knew her from the day before." And if you think that's a stretch, wait until you hear about the hidden connection between Sonya and Sean's girlfriend. Sean's girlfriend, actually his fiancée, Isabelle Butterfield, knew Sonya. That's right. Isabelle was supposed to marry Grayson in October this year, but given recent events, that might be on hold. Apparently, Isabelle ran into Sonya at the mental health treatment center she used to visit. And guess who else worked there? None other than Isabelle Butterfield.
I started doing some digging and I realized y'all said that Sonya had on a hospital bracelet. I looked up the closest place where she could have got medical care to her house, an 8-minute drive away, and guess where we ended up at? Capital Community Health Center.
This is where the theories start coming in. Sonya was still wearing her hospital bracelet when she died, leading many to believe she was at the health center getting treated before the incident. People think something happened between Isabelle and Sonya, causing Sonya to rush home.
Could it possibly be that the police actually, especially Sean Grayson, who I'm talking about, actually caused the situation in the backyard and then they took the call, which is why she didn't even have a chance to get clothes on? Because if I heard something in the driveway, wouldn't you automatically get dressed and at least try to be prepared just in case they try to come in the house?
Many people believe there's definitely something suspicious about the situation. One person commented, "You may be onto something because he was determined to get into her house and had a negative attitude toward her." As soon as she opened the door, she said, "Don't hurt me." Another person commented, "Why was she on the phone with 911 dispatch the whole time until Grayson told her to put the phone down? Then she requested her Bible. She knew he was there to hurt her." While the details are still up in the air, people feel the authorities need to investigate the average response time in the area and compare it to the response time on the day of the incident. If it turns out this was all planned, does that mean his partner was involved as well? Whatever the case, it's only adding to the suspicion around Sean Grayson. One thing that has people furious is his shady employment history. After Sean Grayson's name made headlines, many people started digging into his background, and what they found was shocking. Apparently, when Sean first applied to be a police officer, he wasn't hired because of his qualifications alone. He got the job thanks to a reference from his girlfriend's father. WCIA obtained Grayson's personnel files through the Freedom of Information Act, and the details of his beneficiary designation and emergency contact information caught people's attention. He listed his girlfriend as his emergency contact, and her father, Scott Butterfield, as his reference. Scott Butterfield, a former sheriff's deputy, retired after 30 years of service in 2020, according to a Facebook post by the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. His recommendation carried a lot of weight, which helped Sean land the job. West Wooden, who investigated Grayson, said, "Mr. Butterfield advised me that Mr. Grayson is currently dating his daughter. Mr. Butterfield describes Mr. Grayson as a mellow, non-confrontational person with good communication skills. Mr. Butterfield highly recommends Mr. Grayson for employment with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office." Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell added, "Grayson's personnel file includes references from people I know well. So the question is, Did everyone overlook the warning signs just because Grayson had a credible reference? The warning signs were definitely there. Sean worked at 5 different law enforcement agencies and ended up at the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, making it 6 different departments between 2020 and 2024. On top of that, he had 2 drunk driving convictions within a year, and one of those was the reason he was discharged early from the Army. So, the Army thought he wasn't fit for duty, but the police force did a psychological evaluation on May 31st, 2023, and concluded he was fit to serve. However, the report noted, "He knows he can move too fast at times and needs to slow down to make good decisions." Sean was advised to attend high-stress classes, but he never showed up. Even more ridiculous, Sheriff Campbell claimed he wasn't aware of any issues at Sean's previous workplaces. But records obtained by WCIA show otherwise. Apparently, Sean was investigated twice for his behavior while at the Logan County Sheriff's Office, and his supervisor even reported that Sean disobeyed orders during a high-speed chase.
We're at the end of 2nd Street. She's taking that right.
Are you pursuing?
I'm about to terminate. She's flying up 121 right now.
Despite being ordered to end the chase, Grayson continued and even turned off the sirens and lights to avoid detection. This decision backfired when he ended up crashing the car into a deer.
Until he hit a deer.
Well, I'll definitely be terminated because a buck just smacked the side of my driver's side door.
Did you violate a direct order from a supervisor about termination?
Yes, I did.
Grayson, which...
Naturally, Grayson was questioned by his superiors about the incident.
Agree, before we conclude this, that there's a mountain of policy violations that you committed. 7 months on, how are you still employed by us?
I don't know.
There's also a report from Grayson's boss at the Auburn, Illinois Police Department from 2022. The Auburn chief wrote this while providing a performance review for Sean to a representative from Logan County. According to the chief, Grayson had trouble with report writing, which might be overlooked, but he also noted that Grayson was aggressive and had posted about his illegal substance arrest on social media. Did Sheriff Campbell take any of this into account? Apparently not. Instead, he gave reporters his own twisted reasoning for ignoring the issues, saying, among the comments from his prior employers was that he needed more training, which is not unusual for deputies with Grayson's experience, and is a standard procedure for Sangamon County deputies. Grayson was subsequently sent to a 16-week academy training, which is required for all new and lateral transfer deputies in our office. He also mentioned that a DUI doesn't disqualify a candidate, and that Grayson's questionable employment history showed his admirable ambition to advance to larger and more structured departments. Mark Ayers, a Sangamon County board member responsible for hiring new deputies, said he was never made aware of Sean's troubled past or the negative reports from his previous employers. This has led many to question how the police handle their hiring process.
I would never bring on someone that had that troubled past or that record.
So there are a lot of questions here. Why did everyone around Grayson trust him so blindly? Why did his father-in-law support him? And given that they did, should they be held accountable for his actions? But that's not all. With Sean being vilified by the public, his grandmother-in-law stepped in to defend him. She wrote an op-ed titled, "Does anyone care about Sean Grayson's family or what horrifying reality they are dealing with?" If that title raised your eyebrows, wait until you hear what she actually wrote. She begins with, "First to the protesters. What are you protesting? Sean is in jail, charges are filed, a trial date will be set, and punishment will be applied. Sean is not going anywhere, so stop wasting your energy. Take your signs and go home and be human beings, not just public spectacles." People who read the op-ed were outraged. They felt Butterfield missed the point entirely. The protests aren't just about Sean being on the force despite his history. They highlight a deeper systemic issue within the police force that needs to be addressed. Moreover, even if Sean is in handcuffs, that doesn't erase the fact that a life was lost.
Nothing like a weak-ass bitch in their hypocrisy, in their white privilege. Like you could just tell somebody that's protesting to go home. See, we're not only protesting that your weak-ass grandson-in-law Sonya Massey. We're protesting the fact that why was his weak ass on a police force in the first place after having 4 years and 6 jobs under his belt? Not to mention the two DUI convictions. You knew about that, right? Yeah, you know about that. That's also part of this protest. He shouldn't have been there in the first place to kill an unarmed black woman.
Then Butterfield writes, does anyone care about Sean's family or the horrific reality they're facing? What about his fiancée, whom he was set to marry in October? She's an innocent young woman who is also being unfairly persecuted. Does anyone care about the impact on her life? She's left to handle emotional turmoil. Sean's future in-laws, a father-in-law as close to him as a real father, a future mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law, as well as future grandparents who loved Sean dearly, are all in shock and disbelief but still support him unwaveringly. The past cannot be changed, and the future is uncertain. Once again, readers were outraged. They questioned why Sean's family was portrayed as the ones suffering. What about the children of the mother whose life he took? What about Sonya's family and friends who had to cope with her death? And what's with the focus on Sean's fiancé, dealing with emotional distress when Sonya's family had to physically bury her?
This weak-ass bitch talks about horrifying realities. Did you all have to bury Sean last Friday like Sonya Massey's family had to bury her? Did you all have to contend with the fact that you don't even have all of the circumstances and details surrounding why your weak-ass grandson-in-law, since that's what you want to call him, even shot their loved one in the first place? You want to talk about horrific reality.
The lines that have everyone enraged are, "We will always support Sean. Judge not lest you be judged. No man or woman is without sin. There is a final judgment for all. Proud grandmother of Sean Grayson." People are questioning what there is to be proud of when he took a life without justification. They're also puzzled by the religious references, especially when her son-in-law drew his weapon after a woman said she rebuked him in the name of Jesus.
Always support Sean. And you can, because Sean is alive. See, a casket is supporting Sonya Massey right now.
One person even commented, "The paper that ran this should be ashamed of themselves." As for the public, many believe there's something definitely off about the situation. One person remarked, "Yes, it was planned. Why did he turn off his body cam? Thank God the other officer had his on." Another wrote, "The cop went there specifically for that purpose. Sonya's fate was sealed before she even answered the door. It was premeditated." What do you think about the situation? Do you believe Sonya was set up? Is putting Sean behind bars enough, or should everyone around him be investigated? Share your thoughts in the comments below.